For all the intense focus on Donald Trump's war with the media, Hillary Clinton had some pretty hostile relations with her press corps, as described by one reporter who concluded, quote, "She really, really hates me." Joining us now from New York is Amy Chozick of the New York Times, author of the new book, Chasing Hillary, 10 years, 2 presidential campaigns, and 1 intact glass ceiling. And Amy, you write in the book, it felt damn good to bask in the girl power when Hillary Clinton clinched the nomination. You describe your own coverage as neutral to positive, with plenty of wet kisses thrown in. And then you say when you wrote your last story after the election, you finally cried. So did you feel compromised at all as a reporter covering this candidate who you passionately believed in?
Well, I want to clarify. I cried at the end because I was absolutely exhausted. I did not cry, and I make clear in the book it's not because Hillary lost. I mean, look, if you read the book, you know that there was an incredibly contentious relationship between Hillary Clinton and the political press, and Hillary Clinton, and specifically the New York Times, and my position as the lead beat reporter. I mean, she had called the political press back in the 90s big egos and no brains, and I think that tension kind of carried over and really spilled over into that UN press conference when she had to address the private email server for the first time.
Well, since you bring that up, let me jump in and we'll come back to that. You say, again, I'm just quoting from your book, the email scandal, brokered by the New York Times, by the way, you initially thought it had no more national importance than Bristol Palins' pregnancy, and you went on to say that it wasn't a non-story, but you said, I would regret and even resent that it became the only story. So you had some problems with the coverage.
No, I didn't compare it to Bristol Palins' pregnancy. I was comparing it to other scandals I had covered and sort of the volume of this scandal. I mean, this is not specific to the New York Times, but, you know, the email server became the only story, and I think that there were plenty of other things that, you know, the public should have known about Hillary Clinton. So eventually I did grow to kind of resent that was the only thing anyone was talking about.
Right.
That's
well,
not
perhaps
positive or negative. That's just the fact that there were probably other things.
Perhaps it was harder to tell other things about Hillary Clinton because you had such a tortured relationship with her, and she gave so little access to the press corps.
Completely.
But since the book came out, as you know, Chelsea Clinton says you got a few things wrong, including that she was popping the champagne cork on election night when she said she was home with her baby. That's a pretty key detail.
Well, you know, and I identified with Chelsea since I have my 8-week-old baby at home right now. I mean, look, Howie, let's speak to the broader theme of the book, which is, you know, they were attacking the book before it even came out and attacking the reporting in it. And I have a lot of respect for Chelsea. I've covered this family for a decade. I kept copious notes. I went above and beyond what most authors do, which is hire a fact checker. And so I think, you know, some of the fighting over champagne and hair treatment speaks to the broader themes of the book.
Okay. Now, you write that Hillary Clinton's coterie of mostly male aides sometimes taunted you, made crude remarks toward you. Now, we know that one of them is Philippe Reines, who was on this program last week, and I asked him about that, and he said he pleaded guilty. But why didn't you name them in the book? You give them these various nicknames. I mean, it almost seems like you're protecting them.
Well, and as I explain in the author's note, I didn't give these guys nicknames because I was protecting their anonymity. You've made a connection that you think one of them is one of Hillary's aides. I mean, the point is kind of a literary one.
I know who it is. I know who it is because you say in the book that he also, you know, played in the debates, and he acknowledges, Philippe Reines acknowledges.
Right, but this wasn't about granting anonymity. This was about, for a reader, an average reader, my mom's book club in Texas, for instance. These guys all have similar descriptions, white, clean-cut, about the same age. They all played the same role in my life, which was controlling coverage, very much trying to get in my head. And so as a literary device, they really became this kind of tragic-comic Greek chorus. And so, you know, I thought for the story it would resonate with readers more to give them kind of monikers.
Here's a quote. I adopted Hillary's mood. I went around despondent and aggrieved, pissed off at the world, at my editors, at myself for not being likable enough.
Yeah. I mean,
doesn't sound like fun.
There's an instinct, a distinctly female instinct to want to be likable, and I do think any campaign reporter who's embedded with their candidate, I mean, there's often kind of, you pick up the mood of the campaign, and that was a particularly joyless, as Democrats describe it, joyless period in Hillary Clinton's campaign. And so when you're traveling everywhere she is, going to all these rallies, you can't help but sort of adopt that mood. I mean, I write that my colleagues on the Bernie bus were exuding this confidence of a budding insurgency, and we had the feeling of a dreary mechanical slog a lot of the time.
Right. I want to clear the air on one thing. You were on this program a year ago, and, 4 years ago. And then after Roger Ailes died last year, you wrote a piece saying the Fox gave you all this makeup, and this was part of Roger Ailes' plan for sexing up female reporters. I mean, I've been on every network, and the makeup people all try to make women and men look good. Looking back, any regrets about that cheap shot?
Look, I love the Fox News makeup artists. They make me look great. I'm incredibly grateful. I'm getting very little sleep with a newborn, and they really, you know, turn me into being almost TV ready, I think. So absolutely not. That was not a shot at the makeup team, who work hard, and they're really good at their jobs.
Well, they do work hard, and they are good at their jobs, which was, I thought it was an unfortunate anecdote. But I will say you're very candid in this book about your tortured relationship with Hillary and your own feelings, and even your own feelings about your newspaper. So Amy Chozick, thanks very much for joining us this Sunday.
Thanks for having me.